Hey everyone, and welcome. If you're studying for public service exams, you know some topics are just guaranteed to show up. And Brazil's Freedom of Information Act, the LAI, is definitely one of them. Today, we're going to do a strategic deep dive into exactly what you need to know to nail those questions. Let's get started.
So how do you actually master the LAI for your exam? Well, it's not about memorizing every single word of the law. Nope. The secret is to really get the core logic, know the key exceptions, and spot those classic traps that examiners just love to set. And that's exactly what we're going to break down right now.
We've got a clear game plan. We'll start with the golden rule that underpins the entire law. Then, we'll compare active and passive transparency. Next up, we'll tackle the wall of secrecy, the exceptions. We'll dive headfirst into the crucial deadlines and responsibilities you'll have as a public servant. And we'll wrap it all up with a quick quiz to make sure it all sticks.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the Golden Rule. Seriously, if you only remember one thing from our chat today, make it what's on this next slide. This is the foundation for everything.
And there it is. Publicity is the rule. Secrecy is the exception. You have to burn this into your brain. Every piece of information produced or held by the government is, by default, public. A document can only be kept secret if it fits into a very specific, legally defined exception. Understanding this is everything because examiners will create all sorts of scenarios just to test if you've forgotten this one basic principle.
And this golden rule doesn't come out of nowhere. It connects directly to the core principles of public administration found in the Constitution. For your exam, all you need is this easy mnemonic, LIPE. That's for legality, impersonality, morality, publicity, and efficiency. See that P for publicity? That's where the lie gets its constitutional roots. It's all connected.
All right, Section 2. The law works through two main channels, and you absolutely need to know the difference between them, active and passive transparency. This comparison is a huge favorite on exams.
This slide lays out the difference perfectly. On the left, you've got active transparency. This is the government proactively pushing information out to the public, like on a transparency portal. On the right, passive transparency is your right as a citizen to pull information by making a specific request. One's a push, the other's a pull. Simple as that. Now, with active transparency, Article 8 sets out the minimum requirements. Public bodies have to publish their structure, financial transfers, expenses, contracts, you name it. And listen, this info needs to be in an open, machine-readable format. But look at that. Trick question alert. Municipalities with up to 10,000 people are exempt from publishing this online. They still have to be transparent, just not necessarily over the internet. This is a classic exam trap.
So let's walk through what happens when you make a request. Passive transparency. As you see here, it all starts with you filing a request at the Citizen Information Service, or SIC. The public body then finds the info and gets back to you. But here's the crucial part for your exam. If they deny your request as shown in Step 4, they must provide a legal justification. A denial without a reason is totally illegal.
Moving on to Section 3. So we've established that publicity is the rule. Now we have to understand the exceptions. This is the wall of secrecy, and it's where exam creators cook up the most complex scenarios to really test your knowledge. Okay, this slide is pure gold for your review. Check out the columns. On one side, we have classified information, stuff that's vital to national security, with secrecy terms of 5, 15, or 25 years. Now compare that to personal information, which is about someone's honor and image. The protection period here is way longer, up to 100 years. You have to memorize these differences.
So what if a single document has both public and secret info? This is where a concept called partial secrecy comes in, and it trips up a lot of candidates. The law is crystal clear. Access to the non-secret part is guaranteed. The agency will just black out the classified parts and must release the rest. The key takeaway for your exam is this: the secrecy of a part does not justify the secrecy of the whole.
And some things can never be secret. Pay close attention here. Access cannot be denied. No way, no how, if the information is needed to defend fundamental rights. And, crucially, any information about human rights violations committed by public officials cannot be classified. This rule is absolute.
All right, Section 4. This is all about deadlines and responsibilities. For those of you who will soon be public servants, this is what your day-to-day might look like when handling information requests.
So what's the magic number you need to remember for the standard response deadline?
As you see on the screen, 20 days. If the information isn't available immediately, that's how long an agency has to either provide it or explain why they can't.
Now, for another critical deadline, a situation that examiners love to test, a lost document. How long does the responsible public servant have to explain themselves? The answer is 10 days. They have 10 days to formally justify what happened.
As a future public servant, you've got to have Article 32 on your radar. These aren't just suggestions. These are illicit actions that lead to disciplinary measures. Look at this list. Refusing access without cause, intentionally giving wrong information, or, and this one is serious, classifying something just to hide a mistake or an illegal act.
We've covered a lot of ground. Now it's time to put that knowledge to the test with a quick quiz, just like what you'd see on your exam. Let's see what you've retained. First question. What is the maximum secrecy period for personal information related to honor and image? Think back to that comparison table we saw. And the answer is 100 years. Personal information gets special protection, and the maximum restriction period is a century. Awesome.
Question 2. A public servant denies access to information without providing any legal basis. What happens to them?
Exactly. They are subject to disciplinary measures. A denial without justification is considered illicit conduct under Article 32 of the law.
And the final question, our trick question. What's the exception to the rule that municipalities must publish information on the internet?
The exception is for municipalities with a population of up to 10,000 inhabitants. You remembered the trap. Nailing these key points is how you turn legal text into exam success. The law guarantees access. Your exam demands knowledge. Now, you have the essentials for both. Good luck with your studies.